Hey, this is Paul from Wondershare MobileTrans, and today is actually a very exciting day because we are about to unbox and take a look at two of the newest phones in the world, both the Z Flip 3 and the Z Fold 3 from Samsung. So let's get to these and tell you a few things about them as we go through and unbox them. And let's start with the Z Flip 3, shall we? The Galaxy Z Flip 3 is the phone I think that most people seem to be really interested in this year. And I think that's because there is a big change on the outside of the phone. And I'll go into that in just a second. But the unboxing is pretty easy now, as you don't get really anything in the box besides the phone itself, but that phone is just lovely in black, and I'm sure you'll agree. When you unbox this phone and have a look at it, the first thing that I noticed was that crease, but it's something I don't think that will bother people too much over time using the Z Flip 3. At first it looks really obvious, but I think it will almost just become invisible. You have two cameras on the outside of this phone, and of course the new addition is that 1.9-inch new outside screen, and we can have a look at that when it is switched on in just a second. But first we have another phone to unbox as well, and this is the Z Fold 3. This one is much more expensive than the Z Flip 3, and that's because it's basically a tablet. So when you open up the phone, you get that huge inside screen, and this is one of my favorites out there, and that's because it's the most exciting phone that you can probably buy right now anywhere. But the unboxing is just the same, as you don't really get anything but the phone included in the box. So nothing really that exciting to talk about as we unbox this Z Fold 3, but we should move back to that Z Flip 3 and turn it on so you can see that brand new 1.9-inch screen on the outside. Because we have this, it now kind of allows you to use it properly to see notifications better and to actually add some widgets. So you can add time widgets, you can add weather, you can use this to use stop clocks and alarms. So it becomes a lot more functional than the one that we had last year. The inside screen on the Z Flip 3 is so nice as well. It's 120 Hz and it's as smooth as you like. And the colors look outstanding. And I prefer this much more than the iPhone that I was using just earlier on today. The crease is a problem for some people, and you can see it and you can kind of feel it as well when you're scrolling through the phone, but that is going to become just not noticeable after a few hours, and you just kind of get used to it when you're watching YouTube or you're just scrolling using the phone. And now, as we're talking about the screen, back to the Z Fold 3, and this is a whole different type of phone. This also has a 120 Hz display on both the inner and the outer display, but the big difference here is that that inner display is a huge 7.9 inches, and that is massive. The huge change on the Z Fold is that we have a new under display camera, and this is one of the biggest changes that we've seen from a Samsung phone in a while, and it's almost invisible when using the phone most of the time. You can see it when you're looking for it or whether it's on bright backgrounds, but when you use the phone normally, it just looks like an entire flush 7.9-inch display. And you can see it on the camera app as well, because when using the app, it shows you where it used to be, but then when not using it, you can see it is almost invisible. There aren't many phones in the world in terms of how the Z Fold and the Z Flip 3 look, and maybe actually the Motorola Razr, which they brought back, is as close as you can get to what the Z Flip is. And then of course Xiaomi have something similar to the Z Fold 3 with the Xiaomi Mi Mix, but every other phone on the market today just isn't exciting as the Samsung folding phones. And any other folding phone as well is in their almost first generation, whereas Samsung, they're in their third. You might ask if you should buy these phones, and I would say yes to one of them more than the other. So the Z Flip 3 is more like a normal phone when using it. It has 8 gigs of RAM, it has a 12 megapixel camera, and it has a 6.7-inch display. But most importantly, this is only starting at $999. But this feels like a normal everyday phone when you're out and about using it, and flipping it up and down is actually rather fun. The Z Fold 3 is harder to recommend, and this isn't because the specs are bad, because it has 12 gigs of RAM. It has a 120Hz 7.6 inch inner display, and it starts with 256 gigabytes of RAM. But the cameras on this just aren't as good as other flagships. So this has a 12 megapixel main camera, and then just a 4 megapixel selfie camera. And then we get to the price, where this starts at $1,799, which is very expensive for this, but also at the same time, it's very exciting. But the decision in the end is up to you on what you would want. Before we go though, if you get either of these phones, then it might be a good idea to use and download a piece of software called MobileTrans. This can help you move over all of your data from an old iPhone or an old Android phone, and it takes just a few clicks, and it means you get to keep hold of all of that really important personal data, including contacts, videos and photos if you're moving over to the new Samsung phones. You can also move over your WhatsApp chats by using the WhatsApp transfer feature on MobileTrans, which only takes a few clicks to do as well. So if you're moving over to a new phone, no one wants to lose their WhatsApp chats. Just check the description for a link to download this software. If you enjoyed a first look at these phones, then let us know if you're going to get one in the comments below. And also like the video, subscribe to it as well, and then we will see you on the next video.